So today I am on vacation with my family on the mainland. So a couple things. One, you might hear people talking to a baby or a baby in the background. That's my niece. And then the other thing is that if I am not super quick to respond to an email, it might be because I'm on a different time zone than you all. So just keep that in mind. It hasn't been an issue so far, but I just wanted to let you all know. All right, so this week we are talking about revolutionizing the criminology. So, I think I've said this before, but I believe in prison abolitionism, which is getting rid of prisons, and that can be a little challenging to reconcile because I also study sexual assault and rape, and those are some of the most heinous crimes that can be committed. So, how do you say, well, I don't believe in prisons, but I also study this really heinous crime and perpetrators should be punished in some way. And so I don't have an answer exactly to what do we do with these perpetrators. But I think one thing that needs to happen is there needs to be more community work being done to address these really heinous crimes like murder, like gun violence, like rape, like sexual assault. So I think by having community conversations around these issues and working to address these issues at the community level rather than at the individual level, that's one way in which we can sort of proactively work to combat these things so that perpetrators don't perpetrate anymore. And then there won't be a need for prisons. But, that's a sort of big picture way of thinking about these issues. And so I want to think about what can we actually do now to sort of revolutionize the field of criminology. And there's two things I want to talk about. So the first is jury nullification, and that might be a term you've never heard about before. Jury nullification happens when a crime goes to trial, a person goes to trial for a crime they've committed, and there's a jury, and the jury thinks that the person on trial is guilty, but they don't sentence the person because they think that the crime that they committed or the law that they broke is unjust. And so when they vote as a jury, they decide to let the perpetrator go because they don't think that the crime they committed should have been a crime in the first place. So we'll see this happen a lot around like drug things or crimes. So for example, if someone in an urban area where perhaps there is not great opportunity in terms of jobs, in terms of work, is selling marijuana on the street corner because that's the only way that they can contribute to their family income. And they get caught by the police and they go to jail, or I'm sorry, they go to trial for this crime. The jury of their peers, which is going to be people from that same community who understands how challenging it is to support a family and to contribute to your income or your family income to pay bills and so forth, might say, you know what? We understand that this was a crime. We do believe this person committed it, but we also think that they should not have to go to jail because there should be reform regarding how marijuana offenses are treated. So we're going to vote for this person not to go to jail. So that would be an example of jury nullification. And you all saw a video of Angela Davis talking earlier on in the semester. Angela Davis talks a lot about jury nullification and how members of urban communities where there are really high crime rates, they will sometimes invoke jury nullification because they just don't want to see a young person from their community go to jail. They think this person has potential. They see something good in them, and they think that this person would have a better chance at a good life if they didn't go to jail versus if they go to jail, they're just, they're never going to be able to, they're always going to have that on their record, right? And they're not going to be able to get a good job in the future. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, because jury nullification can be used to make a statement for the community to say, this law is unjust. You need to stop implementing it. We need to change this law. We need to change the policy. So that our community is not disproportionately incarcerated, okay? So that's the first thing. And it really can work to change the system at a smaller level than just completely eradicating prisons overnight. And then the second thing that I want to talk about is community bail fund. Though Hawaii has a community bail fund, and there's been a lot of movement nationally to work on reforming the bail process. So when you go to jail and you're awaiting trial, typically a bail is posted, and if that money is paid, then the person who's in jail waiting trial can leave and be free until they go to trial and it's determined whether or not they're guilty. And then if they're guilty, they go to jail, they're sentenced, or they're put on parole. But if they're not guilty, then they would leave. So people who are in jail awaiting trial, who are in jail because they can't pay for their bail, they are not convicted. They do not have to be in jail. They are in jail because they're poor and they can't come up with the money. So the Hawaii Community Bail Fund is a way for community members to donate money so that when people are in jail waiting for their trial, the Community Bail Fund can bail them out, and then they can be free to be with their family, to continue going to work until it's determined whether or not they're guilty or not. And we see this happening at a national level. I think Jay-Z recently, for Father's Day, he's been doing a thing where he pays off a bunch of men's bail money so that they can go and be free until they actually go to trial. So this is another way that we as community members can work to get people out of jail. Certainly those people could still be convicted and go to prison afterward, but it's one way to sort of chip away at the prison industrial complex, to have significantly fewer people in jail while they're awaiting trial. So that's another thing that we can think about in terms of radicalizing and changing the way our current criminal system works. And I think these are really important things to know about, because I don't think a lot of folks know about jury nullification. I was in a class that Angela Davis gave a few lectures in. She was there for about a month. And when she talked about jury nullification, pretty much everyone in the class had never heard of that term before. And this was a room full of graduate and students and law school students. So I really want you to think about these two concepts as you sort of think through our class material and how we can work as community members to better the criminal system. And that is all I have for you this week. Enjoy the rest of your week.